Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another edition of Cronkite Sports Live. I'm Ethan Ryder, joined at the desk next to me is Sam Stern. Sam, what do we got today?
Ethan, it's so good to be back with you. And we have a full slate of sports. We have golf, we got some hockey coming in, and so much more. I'm just so glad to be back.
Yeah, those winter sports are flying in. But before we get to those, we're going to go over to football. After a disappointing loss to Utah, where the Sun Devils allowed a 28-0 run in the second half, the team are now coming off of a well-timed bye week. Head coach Herm Edwards spoke to media earlier this week about the whole Pac-12 and where ASU sit within it.
When you look at the South and the North, I said it earlier in the season, before the season started, I said no one's gone undefeated in conference play, and that holds true again this year. No one's gone undefeated. Everybody's got a loss. It's kind of interesting. And I think going forward, when you look at both sides of it, whether you're in the South or the North, there's 3 or 4 teams that still, when you look at the conference schedule, have a shot. And that's what makes it so interesting in the Pac-12 play, is that everyone has an outside shot if you won some games, and we happen to be one of those teams.
Even with their sloppy play so far this season, Edwards is right. They still have a shot, as they're currently tied for first in the Pac-12 South. Some of our football reporters join us to talk about what ASU needs to do in their last 5 games to make sure they stay there. Starting with Cam Miner, who's live at Sun Devil Stadium, to speak on the biggest factor in their 2 losses so far this season.
Herm Edwards has successfully been able to will his team to the top of the Pac-12 South, as they are 3-1 in conference play and 5-2 overall. In both of these losses, however, one key component sticks out more than most: penalties. Football is just as much of a mental game as it is a physical one, and it's harder for ASU to beat tougher opponents when they keep shooting themselves in the foot. ASU is currently ranked dead last in average penalty yards per game, averaging 90 yards in penalties, and have the second most overall flags thrown at 67. If the Sun Devils wish to come out on top against Washington State, they will need to minimize the amount of penalties and mental mistakes they make, which comes down to focus and discipline.
Like you mentioned, Arizona State is going to have to play clean, disciplined football this weekend if they want to pick up the win against Washington State. 2 major advantages for Arizona State in this one. They're playing at home in Tempe at Sun Devil Stadium, and Washington State comes into this match with a temporary set of coaches. Now over to Spencer Chihawk, WCSN football reporter, for more.
Thank you, Nick. Going into tomorrow's game, it will have been 4 weeks since ASU's offense has scored in the second half, of course coming against UCLA. While the defense was able to come up big against Stanford, what happens when they are not at their best can be seen in their loss against Utah. Earlier this week, offensive coordinator Zach Hill spoke about the conversations he had with team leaders during the bye about staying engaged when momentum is not in their favor, wanting the team to trust each other more and find some energy. An additional solution may include Hill going outside the coach's box and join the team on the field, hinting at the prospect when asked, saying, "We'll see," citing how being able to look someone in the eye may help with communication going forward. Ethan, back to you.
Thank you, Spencer, Cam, and Nick. ASU will definitely hope to wipe some of their recent struggles from their mind, and they'll have the chance to start that process against Washington State on Saturday. We're now going to send it to Peyton Gallagher to tell you all you need to know about the Cougars.
Washington State sits at 4-4 currently on the season, but after a winning streak of 3 consecutive games during the month of October, to break 500 for the first time on the year, adversity struck the Cougars hard. Second-year head coach Nick Rolovich and several high-level assistants were fired ahead of the team's Week 8 date with BYU, after failing to comply with university standards regarding the COVID-19 vaccine. The man placed at the helm to steady the ship is Jake Dickert, a first-time head coach with a pronounced track record on the defensive side of the ball. Under Dickert's direction the past 2 seasons, the Cougar defense has improved immensely, allowing 10 fewer points per game than the year before his arrival. On offense, Wazoo will deploy primarily run-and-shoot principles, a style of offense that utilizes 4 receiver sets often and relies heavily on pre-snap motion to determine how to best attack opposing defenses. Sophomore QB Jaden DeLora has found success in the scheme, rationing opportunity to playmakers like Calvin Jackson Jr. and Travell Harris, who each have surpassed 500 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns this year. That perimeter proficiency sets up the run part of the run and shoot, as running back Max Borhe has been able to have a big impact as well. Third all-time in Washington State history in rushing touchdowns, Borhe has been a consistent veteran presence for this team this season. This Cougar squad is experienced, tough, and playing well as of late. It's certainly not a team ASU can afford to take lightly on Saturday.
Thank you, Peyton. As Arizona State take the field on Saturday against the aforementioned Washington State Cougars, there will be the expected return of one of their most important defensive players, captain and grad student defensive back Chase Lucas. Here is WCSN football reporter Sammy Miller to tell us Lucas's journey and why this season is so important.
Every chapter must come to an end, and for Chase Lucas, his final year wearing the maroon and gold is here. But he still has a lot that he wants to accomplish before walking off the field for the last time.
I just seen all the older guys like Manny Wilkins, Nikhil, all of them get their respect, and then me, I just had to earn my way up. And I love it. I love the place I'm in right now. I'm glad I could play with my brothers one last year.
One last piece to complete his Sun Devil career. All he wants is respect as a captain, a player, and a person. This chase started 9 years ago at Chandler High School, alongside lifelong friend and former teammate Nikhil Harry.
As him and I were growing up, everything we did was so competitive. We always wanted to beat each other at everything. And I don't know, I feel like it just took our games to another notch, growing up with somebody who always pushed you when it came to sports and becoming a better athlete. So he's one of my best friends to this day, will be one of my best friends to the day I die.
On the field, Lucas and Harry had great success, especially with their 2014 state championship title. But their development as leaders was just as, if not more important.
I think the leadership style that Chase represents is he's not afraid to speak his mind. I think Chase is one of those people that people know he's passionate about what he's saying. He believes in what he's saying, and he does it on the field. He's not going to ask somebody to do something that he personally wouldn't want to do.
Together, they traded in the blue and white for the maroon and gold and traveled 20 minutes north to Sun Devil Stadium.
You know, that was obviously a big time of adjustment. Us leaving high school and going off to college, being by ourselves. So just having somebody like him by my side the whole time, it made the transition smoother. And, you know, it's just reassuring knowing you have somebody that has your back through thick and thin, and no matter what.
The chase continued, but was put to a halt as he redshirted his freshman year, revamping his game mentally and physically, leading him into the starting cornerback that the Sun Devils needed for the next 5 seasons.
When you play a lot of football games like he has, the confidence is there. You've seen enough just through visual experiences. And when you think you're the best and you feel like you're the best, you kind of feel like you're pretty good. And I think he's at that point right now after all the years he's played.
Before entering his final season, he was already regarded as one of the best defensive backs in ASU history. But Lucas wasn't satisfied just yet. He wanted that C finally stitched into his jersey.
The players don't. When he speaks, you gotta listen to this guy. He's played a lot of Pac-12 games. And so it's good to see his maturity. As you guys know, I got a great relationship with that guy. It's just one of those deals, you know, that we talk all the time, and I kind of tell him, here's the temperature. I need you to do this today to help me out with this, and he finds a way to just pass the message along.
The message of love and support has been widespread among Lucas's community, especially those who've been with him since day one.
He knows the abilities that he has. All his loved ones know what he can do. So as long as he's being himself, he's playing free, and you know, he has no worries out there. He's being fearless. The sky is the limit for him.
Lucas believes that there is much more work to be done, more to prove, and more respect to be earned in his final year.
I had trials and tribulations here, but I wouldn't, share those experiences for the world, man. I love everything about this. I love my teammates. I love my squad. And, I really even love the higher ups like Ray Anderson and all them, man. They helped me out tremendously through my time here in my career. So, big shout out to them. And this thing just runs through my blood now, man. For real, I bleed maroon and gold.
This has been Sammy Miller from Cronkite Sports.
It's safe to say ASU volleyball has showcased a little bit of everything this season as far as wins and losses go. And the Sun Devils are now riding a 3-game win streak as they come down to the second half of Pac-12 play. Coach Tomasevich attributes the win streak to the team's strong serve and receive. Here she is with more.
Yeah, those two, blocking and serve receive, have been really good last 2 matches specifically. Jelly's here, added this. People don't want to serve her because she's just so good in serve receive and she's natural. It's kind of like she makes it look super easy. And then Iman was passing real well too this past weekend, so hence why she got the awards and all that stuff.
Thank you. I am now joined by Sun Devil volleyball reporter Noah Furtado to go in depth on this 3-match win streak. Thank you so much for joining me, Noah.
It's a pleasure to be back, man. Okay,
let's first talk about this UCLA game, because I feel like that's kind of the match that kind of triggered this 3-game win streak. What did they do differently in that 5th set? We know they've struggled at times.
All right, so in order to understand that victory against UCLA, we first need to kind of bring ourselves back and look at 2 issues that the Sun Devils had in past 5-set matches that kind of derailed success there. So the first thing is that they've had an inability to control or respond to runs. So against Arizona and Oregon, which was their first 2 5-set matches in conference play, they really struggled. It was evident. Against Arizona, in the middle of the 5th set, they were up 7-6, but then in the blink of an eye, they were down 12-7. A 7-point run is unacceptable when you're trying to compete at the top of the Pac-12. The same thing went against Oregon. They were down 9-7 towards the end of the 5th set, and then Oregon went on a 6-point run to close out that match. So that was a real big problem early on, but then as they progressed, they played 2 more 5-set matches against Washington as well as USC, and they really cleaned that up, but then they moved into another issue. They had a problem with errors in those 2 matches. Against Washington in the 5th set, they basically committed 6 errors, 3 of which came towards the end of the set that gave Washington their final 3 points to close out everything. And then against USC, it was even worse. They committed 8 errors, 7 of which were unforced, meaning that it either came from a service error, a ball hit out of bounds, or a bad set. And so with all of that in mind, when you look at their match against UCLA, it makes sense as to why they won. Against UCLA, they only gave away 2 points by error, and they also just basically controlled runs. They only gave UCLA consecutive points once throughout the entirety of that set.
So then let's zoom out. How about the 3-game win streak? What have you seen that's been so consistent that has put them at this level?
Well, the simplest way to explain that is basically by looking at what stayed the same and what's different. When you look at the Sun Devils' offensive attack, they've had 3 consistent contributors. They've had Levinska, Marta Levinska, Iman Hasanovic, as well as Claire Jeter. And so you look at the first 7 matches, Marta Levinska averaged 11.5 kills. Across the winning streak, she's averaging around 12 kills. Not much difference. The same thing with Jeter through the first 7, 9 kills around, and then in this past winning streak, she's averaging around 11 kills, not much difference. With Hasanovic, it's a little bit different because she averaged 14.5 through the first 7 matches, and now she's playing better than great. She's averaging 19.5 kills across these past 3 matches. But my point here is that Hasanovic has registered 20-plus kills for the Sun Devils before, and they've lost. And so I think the big thing to look at as far as what's the root source for this recent success is looking at the performances of Jelly Sear as well as Claudia Stalky. So with Sear, in the first 7 matches, she barely played at all. She averaged around 3.5 kills through the first 7. And through this winning streak, she's averaged 12 kills. It's a tremendous jump in production, and that has definitely helped out the Sun Devils. On Stalky's end, she played even less than Sear. She only registered as a middle 1 block through the first 7 matches, and now she has 19 in the past 3. And so you look at those 2 players and the secondary production that they have provided behind Hasanovic, Levinska, as well as Jeter. I mean, it makes sense as to why they're on this run, and we'll see whether or not that can continue moving forward.
So we have 10 conference games under our belt done. As we finish out the season, what are realistic expectations for this squad?
Okay, so let's take it one by one. So this evening they play California. With the level at which the Sun Devils are playing right now, that should be an easy victory. And the reason I say that, California is 0-10. They haven't been able to pick up a conference victory, and they're just struggling with the level of competition that is kind of present within the Pac-12 this year. Now, when you go to the next match on Sunday against Stanford, they lost in 4 sets earlier in the season to them, but they also lost with Beatrice Bodini as well as Roberto Rebello in the roles that now Sear and Stockey are in, and so we'll see what that change provides in terms of the Sun Devils faring against the Stanford Cardinal this time around. The third one they've got next week starts with Washington. In Washington, last time they lost in 5 sets, they were 1 clean set away from taking that. And so if they can put together the same kind of performance in the 5th set, or at least late in the match that they did against UCLA, they'll have a very good chance of taking that one as well. The last one against Washington State is probably the most concerning matchup, because the first time they matched up against them, they stifled Arizona State's offense, and in particular, their 3 main contributors, like I mentioned earlier. Levinska was held to 8 kills, and Jeter as well as Levinska were held to 3 apiece. And so that can't happen again. So in all, when we're looking at what they can do moving forward, I wouldn't say it's likely that they end up with 4 straight wins again and they extend it to 7. I think it's more plausible to see them go around 3-1 or a record something like that.
Noah, thank you so much for joining me yet again. Sun Devil volleyball is back on Friday against Cal. Make sure to tune in.
We now head over to Sun Devil Soccer Stadium, where the Arizona State Sun Devils are taking on the Colorado Buffaloes, looking for their first win in Pac-12 play this season. Nicole Douglas was the star of the night and has been of the season. She heads into the game tied for the leading in the nation with 15 goals on the season. Just 4 minutes in is where we're going to pick this up. Jada Hilton-Pelea cuts inside and is chopped down by Haley Adams, which gives a penalty kick to ASU early on in the game. And who else? Nicole Douglas steps up and slots it home to the left for her 16th goal on the season, giving ASU a 1-0 lead early on. But heading into the 14th minute of the game, Colorado were ready to equalize. Gabby Champa cuts on the right-hand side, looks to put in a cross, but it creeps over the head of Julia Ortega and finds its way in the back of the net. So we're all tied at 1 apiece after a good response from the Buffaloes. After a goal from Olivia Wynn to make it 2-1 Sun Devils, Colorado answered once again a rocket from the left boot of Shira James in the 61st minute, and it's all tied at 2, but the Sun Devils weren't done. Hilton-Pelea once again causing problems on the offensive end, cuts inside, and the person who scored earlier on Champa gives away a handball, which also gives away a penalty. Nicole Douglas slots it home for the nation-leading 17th goal on the season, which ties a single-season scoring record at ASU. Arizona State finally get their first win at conference play. Here are head coach Graham Winkworth and the star of the night, Nicole Douglas, after the match.
You can say so many times to the players, you've played really well, but we haven't got what we deserve. You can only say that so many times, and then they're going to start thinking, really? They see it now. You know, I love listening to this, and so yeah, I think it does give us a little bit of momentum, and so hopefully we can take that on into Sunday. And most importantly for Sunday, we need to honour some 11 really special young ladies that have been a part of this programme for a number of years, up to 5 years, some of them. So I'm looking forward to honouring some really special people on Sunday.
Just trying to keep it all out, you know, I pick a spot and I stick to it, and you know, I don't change my mind, and you know, this is for the win, and this is all what we've wanted since Pac-12 play started, you know, and we deserve the win today. What a team effort we did put in today.
Deserving a win and actually getting a win haven't coincided so far this season for the team. WCSN soccer reporter Ryan Sakura describes why injuries certainly haven't helped.
While the injury bug has infected Arizona State throughout Graham Winkworth's 6 years at the helm, it's never looked more fatal for the Sun Devils than this season. ASU has fielded 28 different players across their 17 games so far this year. Goalkeeper Julia Cascapera, along with forward Vildan Cardessler, were the first to fall victim when they suffered season-ending injuries during the preseason. Even when a non-conference schedule was aimed to prepare Winkworth's highly touted team for Pac-12 play, injuries to midfielders Alexia Delgado and Isabel DeHakis forced new pieces to be thrown into the middle of the pitch during a crucial part of the season. On top of that, junior defender Liska Carlier only missed 2 full games, but her absence created a hole that was admirably filled by newcomer Olivia Coleman. The freshman then sustained a season-ending injury herself at Colorado College almost immediately after Carlier made her return. New Zealand outside back Talia Herman-Watt, Dutch midfielder Eva van Dersen, and the aforementioned Delgado, ASU's captain and a member of the Mexican national team, all skipped out on Sun Devil soccer duty to play for their national teams. The continuing absences have hindered the team's continuity and is a significant part of the blame to what has been a painful run to a 1-win, 6-loss, and 2-draw showing in conference play this season.
ASU golf has been rolling so far, and the trio of Summer Hayes, Sisk, and Pooch has been a powerhouse thus far. We head over to our very own golf reporter, Jack Pearson, for more.
Officially reached the conclusion of the fall season for the Sun Devil men's golf team. Arizona State is currently ranked top 5 in the country. They have put together a very complete first half of the season and look to carry the momentum into spring. Leading ASU was senior Cameron Sisk. He won the Ben Hogan Award for Most Outstanding Collegiate Golfer in the month of September. He provided a boost to the team that allowed them to be competitive and contenders in the difficult events that they played in. Sisk finished top 5 in the 3-stroke play events that the team competed in, and won the Merido Invitational individually. Sisk is now ranked 33 in the World Amateur Golf Ranking and spoke about what he will be working on during the break.
I'm playing that PGA Tour event November 11th to the 14th. So, I'll do the best I can just to get my game in the same spot that that it's been in this entire fall. Because, if I play like I have been, I'm going to be, looking just fine there. It's also, getting my mind right too. Believing in myself and staying just as confident. This game's all about confidence. It can beat you down at times. And you got no one else to lean on but yourself. So
the Sun Devil team traveled across the United States, yet no jet lag appeared to be in their game. ASU finished 3rd at the Merido Invitational, 2nd at the Fighting Illini, 2nd at the Barbara Nicholas Cup, 1st at Islesworth, and 2nd at the Eastlake Cup. It is clear that traveling will not hinder this team's ability to be successful. Coach Thurman said that it is extremely difficult to contend and win golf tournaments consistently, and he is content with the level of intensity that his team is bringing. Thurman spoke specifically about the stellar play of Cameron Sisk and why he has been so successful in the first half of the season.
He's always been an extremely accurate player, and he was a little crooked in the spring, so his accuracy's back for sure. He's really swinging the club well, and he's hitting it where he's looking. He's putted better. He's always been fine as a putter, but he's been putting well. He's making some birdie putts, and he's making the key par putts. And then I would just say his whole vibe, there's just a different intensity about him right now. I think there's an urgency. He knows this is his senior season. He's got that PGA Tour U stuff. He's, knows that come June, he's going to be heading off to play pro golf. And so he knows that every time he tees it up, he's creating opportunities for himself.
The Devils will be back on the golf course January 16th for the Copper Cup. But until then, this has been Jack Pearson, Cronkite Sports.
Thank you, Jack, for the update on men's golf. Let's put the clubs away and lace up our skates as the Sun Devils look to continue their dominance at Oceanside. Let's head over to Matt Venezia for a rundown on this week's matchup against St. Thomas.
Weekend series 4-4 on the year. Consistent power play production, improved 5-on-5, and timely penalty killing have been strong parts of the Sun Devils game.
The new additions for the Sun Devils have been very good to start the season through the team's first 8 games, but specifically Josh Stone and Jack Becker for the Sun Devils. Both forwards collected 3 points apiece on the road at Colgate last weekend, and that now moves Josh Stone to number 3 in the nation when it comes to total points. Both these two forwards are also on the Sun Devils' top power play line that also has the likes of the nation's top point getter and goal scorer, Matthew Copperwood.
They can take one guy away. We have another guy that's open that can score a goal. Becker can score down low. Thiessen has obviously showed us he can score right in the slot, and Donor can score from anywhere. So it's whoever they take away, there's always an open guy that we know can score a goal.
The opposition is a new face to Division I hockey, a position the Sun Devils know a lot about, as the St. Thomas Tommies are set to square off against ASU this upcoming weekend.
They know what they're going through and how hard it is, but they're good. Like they're a good hockey team, and they're better than we were in our first year. They really are. They're good.
5-on-5 play and better goaltending remain the team's top priorities before they welcome St. Thomas to Tempe this upcoming weekend. This has been Matt Venezia from Oceanside Ice Arena. Now back to you guys in Phoenix.
Matt, thank you so much as always. Early on in the season, second-year superstar forward Matthew Copperwood has had a fiery start to the season. Our very own WCSN reporter Eric List has more on his early success.
8 games in an Arizona State season, and second-year sophomore Matthew Copperud has picked up right where he left off a season ago. The Denver native leads the nation in points for the 4th consecutive week and leads Devils in goals with 7. At 8 assists to the goal tally, and Copperud has amassed 15 points so far, putting him just shy of 2 points per game. On October 2nd, the winger collected 2 goals and 1 assist during the home opener against UMass Lowell, where the Sun Devils walked away with a 5-3 victory. 2 weeks later, he would lead the club to a dominant 5-1 win against New Hampshire. In that game, Copperud tallied 2 goals and 2 assists. A dangerous player to any opposing team when left unattended at the right circle, with 6 of 7 goals coming from the top of the circle or just right inside of it. Not to mention, 6 goals and 6 of 8 assists have come while the Sun Devils are on the power play. With 28 games left in the season, keep an eye on key weapon Matthew Copperud as he looks to continue a strong start to his sophomore campaign.
Thank you, Eric. We now head over to Riley Swenson for this week's edition of The Vault.
Thanks, Sam. It's the last week of October, homecoming is in full swing, and ASU plays host to Washington State on Saturday. That should sound familiar to Sun Devil fans. 11 years ago to the day, ASU had that exact same scenario, and is the subject of this week's Vault. Homecoming court in attendance, fired up and ready to go. Sun Devils get on the board early as Cameron Marshall runs it in from 7 yards out. Next possession, ASU keeps things rolling, this time through the air as Stephen Threet tosses it out to Jamal Miles, and he does the rest. Sun Devils up 14-0 just like that. In the second quarter, ASU keeps their foot on the gas with DeAndre Lewis punching one in for a 3-yard score, extending the lead to 21-0. Washington State looking for an answer, but Laquan Lewis has other ideas, intercepting Cougars quarterback Jeff Toole in the end zone to keep the shutout intact. Threet in the offense back in the red zone, finding familiar face Jamal Miles in the back corner, gets the feet down. Sun Devils up 28-0 at the intermission. Out of the break, ASU wastes no time, marching right down the field, capped off by this pitch and catch from Threet to Marshall yet again. He has reservations for 6, making it 35-0. Sun Devils would add another score and pitch the homecoming shutout, winning 42-0 over Washington State. ASU is hoping for a similar result on Saturday against the Cougars. Ethan, back to you.
Thanks, Riley. This is one of the most important 5-game stretches in recent history for Sun Devil football, and Washington State is just the beginning. Speaking of starts, Sun Devil hoops are right around the corner. Bobby Hurley and Charlie Turner-Thorne have their teams ready after a hectic offseason in college basketball. There were unprecedented amounts of changes after a tweak in the transfer portal rules. Women's hoops brought in 4 new transfers to the roster, while the men's side only has 3 total returners that were on scholarship last year. Both teams will be excited to hear that fans will be back in Desert Financial Arena. However, that isn't the only thing returning this season. The fan favorite Moonlight Madness makes its return Friday night for the first time since 2017. There will be dunks and 3-point shooting contests open for all to see. With so much roster turnover on both sides, it's a perfect time to introduce themselves to the fans. While last season was a disappointing one for both squads, there's reason for optimism for this upcoming season. Whether it be a super young women's team growing a little more experienced in Charlie Turner-Thorne's 25th year, or a men's team with a blend of talented players from across the transfer portal at Hurley's disposal, both teams look ready to improve on last season. And that's the way it is.
And we are now ready for some top plays. We head over to the pitch. It's none other than the superstar scorer, Nicole Douglas. And this one was to beat CU Boulder. Look at this one. It's too easy. She's been doing this for years, and how perfect of a time to do it on homecoming night. And that one would win the game, and that would tie the ASU record for goals as well.
Nicole Douglas, what a special player. She's going to go down in history at ASU for certain. Now take a look at this play from ASU women's volleyball. Levinska serves the ball, and this is going to take a while, folks. Get some popcorn. That one's taken down a pancake, and then back over to the other side, and here it comes again, and watch this. Yet another pancake. We need to get some syrup out here for these ladies, and then it's finished off by Jelly Sear. Hits the ball over, and what a job by ASU women's volleyball.
And how about for number 1, we head out to Colgate for some hockey. Look at this one, off the face-off. This is Tim Theocharidis. Look at this one, right, and he scores for the game. Makes their record 4-4 as they come home to play St. Thomas. Big celebration there. And big time one in ASU hockey is back.
I love those top plays. I love being alongside you, Sam Stern. Thank you, everyone, for watching this edition of CSL. For everyone in the studio, for everyone behind the scenes in production, I'm Ethan Ryder. We'll see you guys next time.